Morning and welcome to Gardening 365 62. It's not looking a great morning this morning weather wise, but I hope I get enough time to do a little job that I want to do before I go to the football later on, and it's the first match of the season. So I've got an hour or so and I want to look to pull some of the onions up. Now the first problem I'm going to encounter is my drying rack's fairly full already, so I'm going to have to sort of rejig that a little bit. And I've created 4 empty racks, which should be enough. Still got garlic on the top. I don't really want to move them unless I have to. Now these are the first onions that I'm going to move. Depending on time and the weather, I might move some more. So the way I'm going to do this is put the fork underneath them, just very gently lift them out, trying not to damage the tops or the roots, and then I'll take them into the greenhouse for drying. Okay, this will take a while, so you know what I'm going to say. Cue the music. That's it done. Now the rain's coming. I need these to get these in the greenhouse as quick as I can. That's really important now. And that's not a bad harvest, considering that's only one lot of our onions. We've still got loads more to come in yet. And the main job now is to get them inside and get them dry. Must have brushed past this tomato as I went past. The stem's not broken, so I'm going to put a stick in it today, but I've definitely got a job for tomorrow. Putting canes in all of these. No harm done, and on to the next job, and I can hear rain. And there's the second barrow full of onions. Okay, we've even got some more. And we've still got those to get in. Those need another couple of weeks outside yet, just for the tops to die off a bit more. We've now got the garlic. First area of onions, the shallots, and the second area of onions, all in drying. And we've also got the amaryllis drying off as well. As you can probably hear, the weather outside now has taken a turn for the worst. Am I a great weather predictor, or am I lucky? I think I'm just lucky today. I never always get it right. That's pretty much it for me today. Off to the football now. Hopefully it'll be a little bit drier tomorrow, where I want to get out and do some planting, but we'll see. Okay, the weather tomorrow is given out as awful at times. Morning, and the weather ain't great today, so I'm going to do an update on the indoor plants for you. Now here's my pink quill, which looked spectacular earlier in the year. Unfortunately though, the pink quill is dying off, but all is not lost, because in the middle of the plant are what's known as pups, and at some stage you can take them out of the main plant and then grow on some more little ones, which will then grow more pink quills. The main plant, that's it, it will never grow another pink quill. So there is hope that I can get some more pink quills at some stage. Now what I'm going to do now with that is treat it to a day outside, so hopefully it rains a little bit. Well, not hopefully it rains a bit, but if it does rain a bit, it will catch some rain. Now, this is a plant that doesn't require any water onto the soil. It catches all its water in the centre. Unlike a lot of plants, it really likes rainwater, so I'll leave it outside and see if it does rain. Now, I have got two plants that must have rainwater. Tap water will kill them. So I've got a Sarracenia, which is a pitcher plant, and also I've got a, and I said I wouldn't use the Latin name, so you'll have to read that, a Venus flytrap. And what they should have in the bottom saucer is rainwater at all times, so I need to just top them up with a little bit of rainwater. And I bring some rainwater in a milk bottle, so I've always got rainwater in the house. That's it, top them up with rainwater, and they don't require any feed whatsoever. Their feed is when they catch the flies. And they don't really need any extra flies putting in. And what kids have always done is with the Venus flytrap, just watch the jaws close, which is great fun to watch. But they only got about 3 closes in their life, and then they die off. So it's best not to touch them at all. Let them just do what they do naturally. Also, we've got our hibiscus plant, which is almost constantly flowering and absolutely beautiful. That requires a lot of feed, so I'll bring some tomato feed up later and feed that. And also it likes its water. It will take tap water, that one, but it would prefer rainwater if it could get it. Quite a large yucca. Now, yuccas don't like a lot of water at all, and one thing they don't like is to collect water in the bottom of there. So we water that one very sparingly, but we do feed it as well, again very sparingly. My bird of paradise, I think that would prefer rainwater if it could get it, but it will accept tap water, and it does like a feed as well, and that's about 3 times the size of when I bought it earlier in the year. And this is my castor oil plant, not what I'm showing you at the moment. That's an hibiscus cutting. So what Claire did, I think a bit broke off and just pushed it in the soil of the castor oil plant, and I think it's taken bit by bit. Because if you look at the top, that looks like new growth coming. So well done, Claire, for doing that. The castor oil plant hasn't had a particularly good year. Not sure why, but it has got new growth coming now, which is always good. And another one of our plants that's had a wonderful year is our peace lily. Now, it has flowered almost all season, so these are the flowers, just dying off a little bit now. But you can see it's had loads on, and it's flowered almost all summer. And what we do with this, it likes its feed, and it likes its water, and again, rainwater wherever possible. In the greenhouse now, and this is the feed that I use. Now, it's Tomerite, and you use 20 ml per 4.5 litres or a gallon, and then you just water it onto your plants. I always water from the top wherever possible. So I've got to do my tomatoes, and I will prepare some to take in the house for the house plants as well. I've got a little measurer, so I know from experience it's 20 ml. Put it in the watering can. Now this is 10 litres, so I'm going to double it up. Another 20 ml in, and then because this is for the house plants, I'm going to use rainwater. This in here has had tap water in, and I don't want to use that, so I'm going to go and get some rainwater, and I'm going to try and stay dry as well. So from a rain catcher off the garage and into the watering can with the tomato feed, and it goes. Although it's called tomato feed, it is a general feed made of seaweed, I think, and stuff. But it's quite powerful stuff, so don't use too much of it. In the greenhouse now, in the dry, and it's just showery at the moment. So I've got my indoor feed collector. All I do is just fill that up full of the feed. It just keeps everything neat when I go back in the house. There we are, ready for the house. So using the feed I've just made, I'm going to feed my plants. Remember, nothing for the carnivorous plants, they don't require feed. Everything else, give it that much. And out on the balcony we've got a spider plant, which again needs some TLC. I'm not going to give it that today, but what I am going to give it is a feed. And because it's on the balcony, it does get a little bit of rain, but it still needs watering and hydrating, because we won't get lots of rain where it is. But I'm going to feed it now. I'm not going to film that though. And my tomatoes, I just feed into that little pot. And I give them about that much water. Okay, so all the tomatoes will get pretty much the same. Now for everything else in the greenhouse, it just gets water out of the IBC to make the feed up. So it's a mixture of rainwater and tap water. I prefer it to be rainwater, but we haven't had enough really to fill this IBC up. So we've got to stick with what we've got. And anything you've got inside will also appreciate some feed. So these are some lettuce. We're only a couple of weeks away from being ready. Basically I do the same for anything inside in pots. And with the chilies, I just do exactly the same. Give them twice weekly feed. Now these are cucamelons. Do I love them or hate them? Which is what everybody says, you love, hate them. I'm somewhere in between, but what I do like them for is when I'm in the greenhouse, to just get a quick hydration hit. And for me, they taste exactly the same as cucumbers, to be quite honest, just little cucumbers. Would I grow them again? Possibly not. And one thing I do promote very heavily when you finish with something, if it's recyclable, recycle it. Now here's an interesting one. This is a plant that I've really struggled to grow, and it's actually a weed as such. It's horseradish, and it grows best around hedges where you see driving along in your car in the hedgerows. You see horseradish growing. It looks a bit like dock, but this is what they use to make horseradish sauce. And what I'm going to do is sort of plant it there, put it in, and you can hardly see up in there, which is how you want to plant. Okay, so that's horseradish, and we'll keep a track of that. We'll see how well that does next season. It is really windy out here today. I'm not going to take credit for this. Claire's been in, sort of tidied up the drying rack off, so there's just onions on the bottom and some shallots on the top that have still got green on them, so they're not ready to tie just yet. Some more shallots just drying there. They'll be tied up as soon as that green's sort of dried off on them. And some little ones over there that we're going to use for pickled onions. Underneath we've got some more big green onions that need to dry off. All but dried out now is the garlic that's hanging up at the edge of the greenhouse. And very interestingly is some shallots that Claire's tied up. She can really do this really well. I struggle to do it myself, so she's an expert on this. And what I'll do is at the end of the video, where it says watch next video, if you click that, there'll be a link to last year's video where she's tying these up. Okay, and I'll try to give you as much information on that as possible. So I'm not going to film this again of tying up because it's in the old videos. And I was just walking down the garden, and this is quite impressive. This is the spinach. That I planted earlier in the week, and already it's up and breaking through the surface. Absolutely fantastic. And also quite impressive is the blueberries, considering they were moved and they don't like being moved. Here's one. It's ready. And this is just nature's greatest reward. Blueberries straight off the tree. Absolute heaven. Just like Monty Don did, he pruned his black currants. I'm going to have a go at pruning this one as well. And first of all, I'm going to take all of those new little saplings off the bottom, because this is a standard plant and it doesn't really need them growing there at all, so I'm going to nip them completely off. Taking the bottom ones off now, and the two smaller ones now that are there, I'm just going to snip them off just where the branches start to form. So like Monty said, 2/3 down. Done that now, and I've left those two on just as an insurance, just in case what I'm going to do up here now doesn't work. But next year I might nip those two off completely. So what I'm going to do now is reduce this top down by 2/3. And maybe not as good as Gardener's World, but at least they've had a trim. And kohlrabi, Tastes like a turnip. Looks almost like a turnip, I suppose. It grows very much like a cabbage. So you have to take that out, tough outer skin off, and then eat the insides. Nice veg. And those tomatoes freshly picked today. Got a bit of a break in the rain now. The wind's still heavy, but I'm going to plant some parsnips in this row. I'm not going to show you how I plant them. I'm just going to space them out about an inch. Next up, we're going to plant some Swedes. And these are best of all. So if I can't grow best of all, I don't think I can grow anything. I'm going to give them a go anyway. First time I'm growing these. 2 rows of Swedes in now, and now I'm going to plant some carrots. And the first ones I'm going to plant early Nante 5s. Don't sound for that applicable, does it, early in August? But it does say March to August, so this should be fine. And now I'm planting 2 rows of my go-to carrot, which are Amsterdam 14-3 Sprint. These are great, and these actually grow really well outdoors. It says till July. Okay, sure we'll be fine in August, and we will be harvesting these right up till the new year and beyond. They are superb. All rows planted now, and the good news is the turnips that I sowed earlier in the week are up, and next to them I've got some parsnips. Next to those, 2 rows of Swedes, and after the Swedes I've got 4 rows of carrots and 2 different varieties. And at the very end I've got some purple sprouting that won't be ready until sort of May, June next year. In the cottage garden area I've still got outdoor tomatoes growing. They should hopefully just about ripen. I've got another self-set tomato there. I'm not sure that's going to have time this year to ripen. I've got some broad beans that have not really done that well this year, I've got to be honest. I've got a sunflower that I'll properly leave now, which is planted itself, so it's a weed, but I'll leave. I've got the kale there. Got some borlotti beans. I haven't had any of those yet. In fact, they're not really flowering, and I'm not sure why. Oh, there are some flowers. There's a flower in there. We just picked 1 or 2 of our first runner beans today, so happy with those, and they're flowering well now. We had some peas earlier on that Claire's picked. We'll have those for tea tonight. Next to those, the poppies have come beautiful. I've got 3 of them up now, all flowering, and plenty of seed heads to collect to plant poppies next year. The best of my outdoor tomatoes are here, which are great. That's where the onions were that I picked yesterday. Over here, these are my beetroot. Now these are the beetroot that I thought had died, so maybe another couple of 3 weeks and I'll be making pickled beetroot, which will be great. Some Swiss chard, with some lettuces, some more ready than others, and that's what you need, succession growing. They're absolutely huge exhibition onions, so they're not ready yet, and I've just noticed I've planted 2 there together. Shouldn't have done that, but not a problem. And at the end, some kohlrabi. We've got one of those for our tea tonight, which will be really nice, I hope. All of the leeks that you saw me planting out a few weeks ago, they're all caught and all doing really well. Took a bed all under cover from those dreaded cabbage white. I've got a couple of 3 monster red cabbages in there, which I'll pickle, which will be great. I've got some kale. You know how much we like kale. You saw me planting Hibiscus cauliflowers the other day. They're in there, they're growing well. And then those are my trimmed currants. The strawberries are more or less finished for this year. They're putting runners out everywhere, so I'll chop them off. I will be keeping a few of the runners to replace a few of the strawberries. Got my Italian herb bed there, along with a mint bed. And over the far side, the courgette that I planted last week. Claire's flower area, she's got some dahlias there and some cosmos growing. And this side of them, you've got raspberries. We always do really quite well for raspberries, so hoping to get loads of those. They are late ones. Make raspberry wine out of them. We'll be putting some fruit out for fruit crumbles and that sort of thing with that. And in the bed over here is where I planted the Swiss chard. And my blueberry, of course. Apples, this is Golden Delicious nut, believe it or not, I think. And this is the second year that it's fruited, and we've got another apple tree down the bottom that's fruited as well. All the other fruit trees haven't done well this year at all. My compost potatoes are still looking very green. They're not ready to dig yet, so they need longer, even though they're flowering. Pulled out the French beans today and taken the last few off. They've done well this year, and they've grown alongside the courgettes, which have been absolutely mental. I've never ever seen so many courgettes off these 4 plants. And if you look over there, the size of them, that's an absolute whopper down there. And Claire's been down and picked some of these today already. Well, I'm quite sad, because that's the end of my 2-week factory shutdown. But I've got a lot done. Cleaned all of the 2 cherry trees away, which I'm really pleased about, and done quite a lot of late summer planting, so we'll reap the benefits of those now into the autumn and over the winter, which is absolutely superb. And we've got a lot of drying and stuff getting preserved, which is great. So I'm really pleased. So I'm not sad, I'm really quite pleased. But that does conclude this week's episode of Gardening 365. So thank you ever so much for watching. Please keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's the only way we're really going to grow, and all it is 1 click, and it would be so appreciated. Keep asking your friends to Facebook, keep posting, keep just being interactive and enjoying your gardening. Okay, and I want you to stop thinking of just gardening. This is now a gardening lifestyle channel that we're really trying to promote. Everything that we do to just enjoy our gardens, be it whatever it is. But anyway, one more time, bye, and see you next time.